Hi everybody, Jessie here from jessiebanks.com and welcome back to another video. So today I have for you a super fun watercolor video. I haven't posted one of these in quite a while. I used to try and do them every Wednesday and then filming went by the wayside. Now I've just kind of been filming whatever I wanted. I also didn't post a Stamp Stash Saturday. Shh. We'll call it Stamp Stash Saturday on Sunday. So this is Fabriano Artistico 140 pound hot press watercolor, and I'm using this Bouquet of Thanks stamp set here from Simon Says Stamp. I wanted the stamp set for a long time and just never did purchase it, so I recently got my hands on it and I'm pretty excited to finally have it. I have a few other ideas, but I figured I'd start just with lots of color and playing with my Daniel Smith paints, so I use the thank you sentiment and stamp it up beside. This piece of watercolor paper is just random. I don't know what size it is, but it's bigger than an A2 card base, so it's bigger than 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I just painted it on there and then cut it down afterwards, so you guys will see that later. I am using VersaFine Onyx black ink in order to stamp this out. When the ink is dry, it is waterproof, so it won't move with all of the painting and all of the water I'm going to put on top of this. I just make sure to let it dry for a few minutes in between. I also like to use my sleeve when I rub that so that my hand doesn't stick. So this is the watercolor palette I am using. I do have a video, I'll link it in the cards if I can or in the description box below, of when I created this one, and my silver black velvet brushes. So I'm starting off with some quinacridone coral here, and I'm just going to create a rainbow background. I made sure that there was lots of water in that color so it was light. And then watercolors also have a drying shift when they dry, and they dry lighter than they are when they're wet. So it ends up being like a really pastel background, and I enjoy that. I think it looks really pretty in the end. So I just kind of did some red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and then purple. And I mixed these colors up ahead of time. Like my green I mixed. Some of them are just the solid colors, but the green was the Hansa Yellow Light and Phthalo Blue. And the purple's just quinacridone purple. The yellow is the New Gamboge. Orange, I mixed New Gamboge and coral, and then the quinacridone coral because I had them together. So I mixed up some sap green here, and I'm just painting in all of these stems and the little bottom pieces of the flowers. I love sap green. It's probably one of my favorite colors. I did forego putting it in this palette because I do have both of the colors that it takes to make it. So I do it that way instead. But I have only sped this video up to 2 times its original speed. So it's definitely a slower paced video. Hopefully you guys can get a good look at what I'm doing and all of that kind of fun stuff. I know the lighting changes a bit in here. I started filming it late in the afternoon. And then I really wanted to film the watercolor part, so I turned on a couple of lights, and then I finished it up first thing this morning, so it was back to natural light. So I know the lighting's kind of finicky through the entire video, but you guys will get sort of the gist of it. I love painting. I know I used to do like watercolor Wednesdays, and then I've kind of forgotten those. Hopefully they'll come back. And I missed Stamp Stash Saturday yesterday, so we'll call this Stamp Stash Saturday on Sunday. How does that work? We'll just pretend, and I'll give you guys this one today, and we'll get back on track for next week. So I'm going through now, and I'm just starting to work on the actual flowers themselves. I'm using quinacridone coral for the top one, and I just add it in where I want it darkest and dab my brush off and then blend it out into the lighter area of everything. So we're going to work our way through all of the flowers. I do a red one, an orange one, a purple one, and a blue one, I do believe. It definitely takes time to get these painted. So I hope everybody is doing well. It is spring where I am finally. There is no snow left in my yard. I'm going to mow my lawn today and get it all cleaned up and ready so that it can start to grow and turn green, because green grass would be wonderful now. Caleb is loving his freedom. Like I've said before, I live in a tiny little town, and the kids are on their bikes and they're all over the place and everybody's kind of gone. I know yesterday he left at like 10 o'clock in the morning and he didn't show up till supper time. I knew where he was, don't get me wrong, it's not like he was missing or anything like that, but yeah, they're just gone all day and enjoying their freedom and summer and it not being cold and not having to wear, you know, snow pants and jackets and toques and mitts and scarves and big boots and all of that kind of stuff. So it's really good for the kids to have their freedom back. So you can see how I'm painting some of the petals and then I'm letting it dry and I'm coming back and doing the others. And that's so that they can dry in between and don't all bleed together. it's kind of the way I work. Just slowly in sections, and then you don't end up with kind of one lump of color. I do break that a little later as I go in and add the darker colors, but I'm getting more careful when I do that, and I'm not adding as much water to the entire flower. So slowly working our way through and blending everything out. This is going to be the same process over and over and over through this entire video. So I'm really not sure what we're going to talk about yet. I love floral stamps, and I love this one from Simon Says. I also picked up their More Spring Flowers one. I need to do a card with that. I want to do that with, like, I think Copics or something instead of always watercolors when I pull out flowers. So we'll do something a little different there. They have a few others that I want to pick up too, but I'm kind of foregoing purchasing until I start using things. So once I get all of the stamps I bought in April used, then I'm going to allow myself to order some more, which isn't so bad. I think I got, I don't know, 3 or 4 left to go, and I've used everything I purchased last month. So that makes me feel really, really good, and I'm trying to use things more than once and all that kind of fun stuff, so it all takes time. I'm not sure where I was there. I must have pushed record before I was ready. So this is the QUINACRIDONE purple, and you can see how it kind of gives it a little different hue because of the green and the yellow in behind it, but as we layer them on, layer the colors up, it does become more vivid. I don't know what else to talk about. I got no fun stories. Oh, well, we can talk about Grandma. My poor grandma. My grandma will be 84 on the 8th of May, and she's a fantastic woman. She still has an entire garden. She mows her lawn, she drives, she takes 0 medication. Like, she takes an Advil and she goes to bed because it puts her to sleep. My grandma's just an amazing woman. And she was walking to pick up her mail. They have community mailboxes where she lives. It's just like 20 minutes away from me, so she's not far or anything, but she was walking to pick up her mail and her flyers from the flyer box, and there was a big bolt sticking out of the ground, and it was like huge. Like, I'm gonna say it's like 8 inches, 10 inches long, and it had like a bend at the top of it, so she tripped over it and she broke her wrist in 2 places. So we had to haul her to Regina, and they put a plate and some screws in it and things, and it's her bad hand. When she was a kid, she got her hand stuck in an auger in a farming accident, so she only has 3 fingers on that hand and stuff. So it's, the cast is bothering her because her hand is, well, deformed, I guess, is the word to use. I'm not sure if that's the correct word. But anyway, so the cast is bothering her because they kind of try and build it to her hand, but they have to make it so some of her fingers don't move very much during the first 2 weeks. So she got home yesterday after having surgery and all of that fun stuff. So she's at home with some T3s and a pillow on her couch, and she has 0 intention of going anywhere for a little while. So I'm going to go in and mow her lawn and stuff for her tomorrow after work and get that all cleaned up for her. And then in 2 weeks she goes up, and they will take the cast off and re-x-ray it to make sure everything's where it's supposed to be for healing and all of that. And then they'll give her one that gives her more use of her fingers, is what they told her. So fingers crossed for Grandma that everything heals well, because she really doesn't need any more catastrophes and all of that kind of fun stuff. We are going bowling for her birthday next weekend, so I'm not sure if she's going to be bowling or if she's going to be, you know, just hanging out and watching us all bowl, but we've got like 4 lanes booked and stuff, so it'll be fun to spend some time with Grandma anyway, and I see her all the time. But yeah, she tried to be a gymnast and found out she's not quite young enough to still be a gymnast. That's what I told her anyway. And then when she got out of the hospital, I asked her if she was happy to be out of solitary confinement. She told me it wasn't fair to make her laugh. So that's all good. You can see now I'm adding in the deeper colors and giving them a little bit more differentiation. I put yellow down on this flower and then decided that the yellow just was never going to stand out enough against that background. So I switched it up and went in with some orange instead. And then it got too dark at the start, so I took some paper towel and dabbed it off just a little bit. Or no, I picked it up with a brush. Never mind, I didn't use a paper towel. I used a dry brush, so a thirsty brush, and just picked up some of the pigment. There was a big gap there. I'm not sure. Oh, I was adding some of the quinacridone coral into that purple just to boost up the pink side of the purple and make it a little bit more vivid. Because I thought it looked a little bit dull just because it was over top of that green, and green and purple kind of kill each other. So that gave it a little bit more brightness and contrast and pop against the other colors. are we now? Oh, I'm gonna yawn. Don't yawn, Jessie. It's like 8:15 in the morning. We're not allowed to yawn at 8:15 in the morning. Adding in our depth onto our blue flower down here. I did mix some phthalo green into this blue after just to make it a little bit more poppy, I guess. I don't know. I wanted to mix it in, so that's what we did. That's the beauty of watercolors. You can play and layer and mix different colors, and you're not using a lot of product, and things like watercolor lasts forever. I've never emptied a tube of watercolor yet. I don't think. No. Even like my little 5 milliliter ones and stuff, I've never killed a tube of watercolor yet. I'm getting close. I know I have to order a new Moon Glow soon, but yeah, it goes a long ways. So it's kind of one of those things where you're investing a lot of money and it looks like you're not buying a lot of stuff because the tubes are so small, and you get a lot of bang for your buck because your flow agent is your water. So that's how you adjust the shades and tones and all of that kind of stuff. So fun. I love watercolors. It is my favorite medium of all of the ones that I use. It may not be my most used, but it is my personal favorite. So I am now taking a Prismacolor black pencil, and I'm going to add some shading on the one side and underneath of all of the flowers. So we're going to race through that really quick, as well as the centers. So I have sped this black pencil part up a lot more, simply because I'm not really doing anything spectacular. I'm tracing the artist drawn lines and making sure I have a little extra depth and just kind of playing with them. It is leaving texture on the paper and all of that fun stuff. I kind of like doing this with flowers once in a while. I'm not sure why I put my elbow there. I think that's my elbow. I hope that's my elbow. I'm not sure what that is. Anyway, I digress. Back to where I wasn't. So just going around and around and around, adding a little bit of shading. I do find it makes a big difference. I then bring in, what pen is this? It is, oh yes, the Dylusions White Linen Paint Pen. And I go through and I put these in, and then as it dries, it reactivated with the watercolor, and I lost all of the depth. So off camera, once I finished and everything was dry, I did switch out and use some white gouache and trace over top of all of these lines just with a tiny little, or these little dots with a tiny little paintbrush. So you'll see how much the white pops at the end compared to what it does now. And that's simply because I went back over top of it with something that was working a little better. This just reactivated the paint underneath of it a little bit too much for my liking. I usually do really enjoy this pen though. For doing dotting detail and stuff over top of all of my Copics and things, it's been my favorite, so I figured I would give it a shot here. And I don't care for it over top of watercolors. I will stick to gouache, but you gotta try something to know if you like it or not, right? So I'm just fighting with it a little bit there to keep the paint flowing and make sure there's no color on the pen. I think I got some blue on it there, and I was just scraping it off screen. Now I'm going to pull all the tape off. I'm using scissors just to release it from the board and get it all started for me. And then we are going to cut it down with our paper trimmer to 4 by 5 1/4. Once I get this going up here, I'm going to bring in the paper trimmer. We're going to cut it down, like I said, to 4 by 5 1/4. And then I'm going to mount it on top of an A2 top folding card base. I'm just making sure my measurements are that I'm not going to cut off any of that. Thank you. I don't mind if I have watercolor cut off on the one end and not on the other. I think it looks really cute at the end on the way the card ended up being cropped, but I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to lose any of that sentiment when I got it all cut out here. So what I do now, this is a top folding card base. I have put double-sided adhesive on the back of this, and then I'm just going to take some liquid glue. I find that it helps watercolor paper just sit flat because it does get slightly warped and things as I'm working on it, adding all of that water and everything. So I use both just to make sure that I get a good adhesion to the card base. And that is going to be it for this video. So if you guys aren't subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to subscribe. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoy these types of videos. Leave me a comment if you have anything to say. I love hearing from you guys. I will have another video coming up here that YouTube does recommend for you to watch from my channel. And I will see you guys very, very soon with another one. Bye for now.